these scriptures first. If you remember last week, who was here last week? Put your hand up. If you remember, the theme was, Lord, reveal yourself to me. And we were challenging ourselves to seek God and the move of God. Because many of us are just kind of limping through this life and we never see God reveal himself. It's all. It's already over. We all right? Okay? We're talking about how God had challenged us, the Spirit challenged us, that we need to see God reveal himself to us. We need to see him moving. And this week now, we're taking it a step further because now we have to look at how much do we desire to know him. We can't say, Lord, reveal yourself to me, and we don't desire to know him. And we're going to talk about that today, the importance of knowing him. And as I got the revelation, I was really coming from a different angle, but the Holy Spirit led me to Matthew chapter 7. And so we have to go here. Amen. Amen. And so let's do that. We're going to start reading at verse 13. And we know these words are in red. They are coming from our Lord and Savior Jesus himself. If you have it, say amen. Amen. He says, enter by the narrow gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction. And there are many who go in by it. Because narrow is the gate and difficult is the way which leads to life. And there are few who find it. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Even so, every tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits you will know them. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. We see here, if we reread verse 21, we see here in verse 21 that there will come a time, believe me, there will come a time in the future where this moment here will mean a whole lot to some folks. And they will be in a place of desperation. Verse 21, we see people here now, they're not worried about their cars, their stocks, their homes. They're not worried about on a vacation. There is nothing here with them. They are before the throne of God. And the only thing on their mind is, Lord, please, let me in. Are you going to let me in? Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven. But what? He who does the will of my Father. The sad thing about this predicament now is that many of these people will be church folks and spiritual leaders. Look at verse 22 again. Many will say to me, in that day, how many know that day's coming?
Hallelujah.
That day's coming, y'all.
Yes.
Amen. And aren't you glad you're in Christ? Aren't you glad you're a new creation?
Yes.
This is why every time you're down in the dumps, you need to remind yourself that He saved your soul. Hallelujah. He had mercy on your life and He saved your soul.
Yes.
There are going to be people who are going to be desperately trying to get in. And we find here again in verse 22, He says, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, have we not, look at the group now, because He's saying many. So He's not telling you one person is saying all of these things. He's showing you different scenarios. You see that? He says, one says, have we not prophesied in your name? Prophecy now. We're not just talking about predictions, words of knowledge. Sometimes you'll see the prophetic moving at the altar. Sometimes you'll hear Reverend Gail going to the prophetic. We know that. But in this case, in biblical times, to prophesy meant you were a teacher. You were someone who teaches the word, who proclaims the Lord's coming. You were someone that stands in a position as a preacher. So we see now heavy qualifications. One who prophesies. Wait a minute now. I prophesied in your name. That's somebody that's moving in the spirit, is it not?
Yes.
Look at the second person. Right? And have cast out demons in your name. Some of y'all saying, how is this possible? Wait a minute, somebody cast out devils? And yet, Jesus is saying to them, I don't know you. And then the last one here is, has done wonders. We talk about wonders now, we're talking about miracles. We're talking about signs and wonders. Interesting, isn't it? These are the folks, he says the word many. That word many now is talking about quite a bit. And we're talking about church folks, folks that are in church, but yet there's a disconnection. And someone will say, well, I don't know, Pastor Mike, it just doesn't seem to make sense to me that someone who's prophesying, someone who's casting out devils, and someone who is doing these wonders, I would think that they know the Lord. Well, I got a scripture for you that I'm going to read here that might just throw you a curve here. It's one in, oh wow, you tell me I don't have that scripture here. Hallelujah. Okay, it's going to be all right. Oh, I do have it. Don't turn here. Matthew 10, verse 5. It says, Jesus sent out the 12 and commanded them, saying, do not go into the way of the Gentiles, and do not enter the city of Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Okay? So what do we see there? We see prophecy, don't we? Right? Then it says, heal the sick. Right? Cleanse the lepers. Right? Raise the dead. Do we see not wonders? Miraculous signs and wonders? And then on top of that, he says, and cast out demons. Jesus commissioned the 12 to go out and to not only prophesy, do wonders, and cast out devils. Now we know who was among the 12. Was it not Judas?
Yes.
Judas now, among the 12, he was one who cast he prophesied, and he did wonders. Yet Judas never knew God. Judas had no connection with Jesus. Matter of fact, what did Jesus say about Judas? He said it would have been better for him never to have been born. I have been in churches where I have seen individuals respond because they go to church, they're in church, they play church, and I've seen things happen. There was a young man who joined the church I was in, and he had his credentials. He could preach real well, and the pastor at that time elevated him as one of the elders in the church. There was a sister in the church who worked with me in the youth ministry. She had been saving herself. She was single for a long time, waiting on God to send her the right man. Well, this gentleman that I'm talking about began to court her. And this brother, one time he was preaching and the anointing was upon him, and I'll never forget, he said, I'm going to come down this altar and I'm going to walk down the aisle and you're going to feel the breeze of the Spirit. And when you know, we felt the breeze of the Spirit. Okay? In the end, making a long story short, this brother ended up being a con artist. Come to find out, he was soliciting money from people in the church behind the scenes. And not only that, in the end, he hurt our sister so bad that she walked away from the body, from the church. She walked away from Christ. I believe she's rededicated herself. But this brother was fraudulent. He was a phony. Yet I watched the anointing. I watched the Spirit of God work through him. Don't ask me how to explain that to you. Okay? But I'm here to tell you right now, he doesn't necessarily know God.
Yes.
All right? Now, that may not make sense to a lot of people. Aren't you glad you know him?
Yes.
Can you honestly say you know him?
Yes. Hallelujah.
I can tell you it's my desire to know him. Now, I want you to pay close attention to the words here in verse 23. Because he says here, and then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. Interesting enough, it is our Lord who is sharing this. If he were not telling us this story, we would not know now that there is some conversation. So at the judgment, the day of judgment, we see here now, folks will have a second to talk. Right? He would not have put that in there. When Jesus said this, Jesus is Alpha and Omega, so he's already there. And he knows and he sees people saying, Lord, Lord. So he's giving us some insight that people will actually be talking and negotiating. That's interesting, isn't it? Huh?
Yes. Amen.
And he uses the word, first of all, I never. That word never is a powerful word in the Greek. It means not even at any time. Not at all. Never. Nothing at any time. So not only don't I know you, I never knew you. That's a powerful revelation when you think about folks who are in church, folks who are behind pulpits. And he's saying, there was never a connection. Wow. I never. And then we talk about the word knew. The Greek word is ginosko. Ginosko. I never knew you. Variety of applications here. One of it is learn to know. So because you never learned to know me. That's why the Lord has been speaking to us this year about his word. That's why we gave out some handouts to you. Now, I'm not sitting up here as teacher saying, hand in your word. That's now a reflection of your desire to know him. That's what that's all about. It is my job to position us this year because God said we need to be more sound in his word. And one of the stipulations here is that we need to learn to know Him. And we can't learn to know Him if we don't read and spend time in His Word. Hallelujah. I handed out a reading schedule that we're to read a chapter, a psalm. We're to have one scripture memory verse, and we're to pick a book out of the Bible that we're going to read within a month. Well, I'm reading the book of Numbers, just so you know. I don't just mandate these things. I do them myself. I'm reading the book of Numbers. Okay? And I've been studying my Psalm chapter is Psalm 17. Hallelujah. And my scripture verse this week is Psalm 17:5. Uphold my steps in the Lord, that my footsteps may not slip. So I'm just letting you know that's my scripture verse. Okay? What I'm trying to tell you now is this does not take a whole lot of time. See, when we say, well, my desire is to know Him, well, then we don't want to interrupt our cycle and spend time with Him. And one of the things He's saying here in this word new, ginosko, He's saying now, learn to know. No, you didn't learn to know me. All right, if we learn to know, the next one is come to know. So if we choose to learn about God, we're going to come to know God. Okay? Then I like this one. When he talks about the word new, ginosko, he says, get knowledge of perceive. And I had to look at that a few times. I said, get knowledge of perceive. That don't really sound right. But when you think about it now, when we talk about the word perceive, we're talking about now becoming aware of something, come to realize and understand something. So many of us are missing heaven because our perception is off. So he's saying here, you didn't get to know the knowledge of perceive. Here an example, how many of us know somebody right now, they're in a bad predicament, and yet they won't get out? You know somebody right now, they're being abused, they go home, they're being physically abused, and they still go home. How many folks you know that just are in such a state of denial, you can put truth right in front of them, and they don't want to hear it? He's saying now the problem now with you, who I'm saying I do not know, is that you never got yourself to the point where you were honest enough to be able to realize what perception is. Some of us, our perception is off. Some of us are not honest with ourselves. I'm here to tell you that is a jewel for me, that I'm honest with myself. Me and my wife were talking about furniture yesterday, and my wife, you know, she went and got this furniture somebody gave her, and I'm like, honey, we got another project, and you know, the conversation didn't go in the right way, right? And how many know we have those every now and then? But as soon as the conversation went wrong, the Holy Spirit stepped right up and said, you know that, now, come on now. He said, you need to go over there and handle and fix that. It wasn't no big deal, but what I'm trying to say is, I'm always honest with myself. When you're honest with yourself, when your perception is correct, you're going to open the windows for the Holy Ghost to come in and reveal Himself. See, if it's your desire to know Him, you want to be open to hear from Him. That's an interesting definition of the word new. I never knew you simply because you never really got it. You never really developed the ability to perceive. Amen.
Amen.
And then somebody asked, and again, like I said, how is it possible for somebody to use the authority of Jesus and not get into heaven? My answer to you is, we just want to get to know Him and not try to figure things out. Amen. Sometimes when you get to know God, well, I've gotten to a place with God where I don't question. He says, are there any other gods beside me? He says, I know not any. If He said that, I believe it. If He said there were no gods before me and there will be no gods after me, I can't process that. Matter of fact, that'll mess with your mind, won't it? That God always was. Everything we see has been created. Everything in here. Somebody